Welcome to another video with Howard Piano Industries. In today's video, I'm going to demonstrate how to correct the problem of loose tuning pins in a grand piano. So my preferred method of dealing with loose tuning pins, if this is a possibility with your particular piano, is to tap the tuning pins further into the pin block so that they are gripping new pin block wood, and as they go down they tighten up and the torque increases. In order to do this though, your piano has to have pins that are up a bit above the plate. So there has to be a small gap between the bottom of the string coil and the top of the plate, so that we have the room to drive the pins another, say, 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch down. When you get to the point where the string coil is touching the plate, then of course the pin won't go any further down, and you don't want to get to that point where it's actually touching the plate, because if you create a bind there, snag, when you go to tighten the tuning pin, the string can break at that point where there's friction. So on this piano, you can see we have about a 3/16 of an inch gap. So we have enough room here to drive the pin into the pin block further. I'm going to demonstrate on the bass tuning pins, because it's the bass tuning pins that tend to get loose first. You'll often find a piano where the torque is fine in the mid-range and the treble, but when you get to the bass, you might find some tuning pins that have slipped. You might find some really sour notes, and sometimes I'll just tap the bass pins and that will be good enough. Other times you might find that you have to do the whole piano. But in order to do any pounding on the pins, you need to support the pin block so that you don't cause any potential damage to the pin block or plate. This requires taking the action out of the piano. We have another video showing how to do that that's linked below. So if you don't have any experience with that, you can watch that video. So you remove the case parts. I've removed the action, and now we have access to the action cavity here. Now, to support the pin block, I use the pin block support jack that we have available at howardpianoindustries.com. This jack sometimes is I carry with me a little support, a little spacer block that will add a little height to this. So you position this in this case, I may not need the support block. So you position the jack directly underneath the tuning pins, and I use a pair of vice grips I carry with me to tighten these bolt heads. And you don't want to over tighten these, because this jack, you can put too much pressure and potentially do damage that way. So I tighten to the point just a little bit more than hand tight, and so that I can't move the jack around. So to drive the pins, I use this tuning pin setter, and the purpose of this setter is to give you a good target for your sledgehammer, so you clear the case parts, and you're not going to accidentally hit the plate or something else, put a dent in the cabinet. But that's the one purpose. But the other function it serves is to hold the tuning pin in position so that it doesn't twist or untwist on you when you hit it with a sledgehammer. That's nice because if you didn't have this tool and you just had a plain punch, you would end up with a very out of tune piano, as the pin would twist as you hit it. So to demonstrate, you just hold the pin setting tool, put a little pressure in the clockwise direction, in the direction to keep the pin from twisting loose, and then usually one good blow is going to drive it enough to increase the torque. That's about all you need, and you don't want to overdo it because you don't want to go too far in. So you can usually see the movement of the pin. Okay, so if you have any questions about this procedure, you can use the comment section below and I will try to get back with you. Our website is howardpianoindustries.com, where you can find the tools that I've used in this video. Thank you for watching.